What's up, guys? We are here. We are live with It's Real with Jordan and Demi.
I'm Jordan, actually, and this is Demi. We are here in a real studio situation. We are just off of Times Square in Midtown Manhattan. We are together, really for the first time. We interviewed Thurston Moore together, which was an audio-only interview, but this is really our first real show together in the same spot, so we're really excited for that. And Demi, introduce our guest.
Today, this is the only guest we are doing a part 2 with as of right now, and it just so happens that this guest is 2 feet. No pun intended here, but we have a special announcement for 2 feet. We all know he has a new album that came out.
Let's bring him out. Let's bring him out. What's going on? What's going on,
Hello, guys? How are you?
We are good. We are good. Do we look more professional now that we're like in the same room and, you know, in this sort of studio vibe?
Yeah, the vibe is definitely a little, better, tighter, cleaner.
So we have a special announcement. Bill, would you like to make the announcement, or should I make the announcement?
You go ahead. You have a great way of talking, Demi. So.
All right. So 2 feet is abandoning LA. And they're coming back to New York City, and they're going to take it by storm. So how was LA these past few months, and why are you switching sides again?
Right. Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, honestly, we all just we're New Yorkers. Huff went to high school, middle school there. I was born there, grew up there. It's just a little tough to, LA is not our vibe, I guess. It's, people are a little too different. We just wanted to get back home, and we figured out a way to work in like a house. Kind of, we used to work in our individual apartments and meet in a studio or whatever. And we kind of learned how to work together here. So we're going to try to replicate like the sort of successful workflow we had in LA back in New York. But in honesty, New York's the best city in the world, and we just missed it, and we just want to come back home.
Well, we're looking forward to you having you back. There's been an exodus out of New York over the last year or so of bands and musicians going out there.
That's our producer Hope. Shout out Hope.
Yeah, shout out Hope.
Yeah. So Bill, we want to talk. The last time we talked to you was pretty close after last summer after the shutdown, and you had the unfortunate circumstance of releasing an album right at the time of quarantine, and you didn't get to see your billboard in Times Square. But since then, you've released a new album you seem like you always are creating new music. So Tell us about this workflow that you got. Do you sleep at all?
Not really, no. So actually, the next album came out, and there was also a billboard in Times Square that I didn't get to see either. So,
that was Max Mako's Dead. We got to cover that. Yeah,
he's dead, right? Yeah,
right there.
Beautiful. He's dead, as you can see.
Which is totally departure from the previous album, the artwork of the previous album.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
I want to get into the album, but I think what everyone really needs to know right now is, who is Max Mako, and who are we talking to right now? Are we talking to Bill, or are we talking to Max?
You're talking to Bill, 2 feet, yeah. Max Mako is basically the character. He started off as the character who I played on stage when I would get really nervous in front of, big festivals or big shows, and I wanted to like create like a character for myself so I could like go on stage as that character and pretend to be someone else. It made me a little less nervous. So that's kind of how I got the idea from Max. And Max's story kind of intertwines with 2 Feet's story. And, if you get into the album and you read the lyrics through as you go down the album, it kind of tells the whole story. We put out like an animation clip for it. The music videos are also part of the story. So if you're interested, anyone who hasn't listened to the album yet, go ahead and check it out, because there's a bunch of stuff that kind of like a trail that leads you through it, and it will show more of that in the live show. And there's a couple more things to come out with it and everything. It did super well for an independent release. It chalked up over like 30 million streams in the first week and all this stuff. So super successful. My first independent release since leaving Republic. So it was really great. And now since I'm always just like a forward thinking person, I'm actually like, I finished the next album and I already put out the first single for it like 2 weeks ago. So I keep rolling along here.
Before we get into that single, which we want to talk about, I wanted to know what made you want to do a concept album, the Max Mako thing. What was behind? Why did you want to make a character piece so early in your career? Because you only had a few years worth of releases up to that. A concept album is something usually people do mid-career or 10 or 12 years in.
Yeah, no, I've gotten that kind of, people have asked that before too. I think it's just, I don't know. I just wanted something a little more, I just wanted something a little more engaging with the album. I wanted to make the album process more sort of fun for myself, fun for the fans. And I felt like creating this character who had already been like part of my life, kind of, creating this character for them to follow through and trace and learn about, and would just be like a really fun experience. And I in this weird way, I kind of don't take anything too seriously. Like a lot of musicians like take everything they're doing super seriously, and everything needs to be perfect when the release comes out, and this and that, whatever. I don't really feel that way. I just kind of flow. Like I just kind of just like, I want to do this now. Let's just do this. If it works and people think it's cool, that's great. If they don't, whatever, I'm just gonna make something else very shortly after. So I don't really care. So it's kind of just like this is what I want to do right now. This will be fun. The pandemic had just started. I needed some distraction, and it was just sort of a great way to like kind of enter into a world, you know what I mean? Where I could just be like this whole universe and distract myself and do
very cinematic. Your music is cinematic to begin with, and this is kind of expanding that whole idea.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
What about the cover art, Bill? I mean, it's so sick. It's blue. It's neon. Someone's dead. What's going on? What was the concept behind this cover art?
Well, we actually went into like a morgue.
What?
Yeah, so that's like a real table that they would put dead people on. Those are actually that's actually Huff's hand in the White Doctor's glove.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, and we put me in like, that's the body bag and everything, and we kind of took like a bunch of shots there and some other shots in the morgue, but I looked through all the photos for a couple of days trying to pick like the one I liked the most, and I kind of just like that one. I feel like it had to have this like image where it's like, is he dead or not? And I think that kind of captures it, because if you look at it a certain way, it's like, oh yeah, that person's dead. If you look at it a different way, it's like, are they just like sort of catatonic right now, or what's going on with them? So that was sort of the story.
I think it's interesting, Bill, that you as a person, you're fun to be around. You're bright. You're smiling, but your imagery is very dark and moody and macabre. So, did you grow up, watching horror movies and scary stuff? Were you a fan of Dexter? Like, where did this macabre side of you come from?
I don't know. I just like am always drawn to it. It comes down to like I guess like cringe, I guess, if you know what I mean. Like music that's always been like very, or even like movies or art and stuff, unless they do it really well, like really bright images and like super happy music, I'm just like, oh, like I can't, like, I don't know, I just get like, I can't listen to it. I don't know. So I just, for whatever reason, people are drawn to weird things, like the city council member who looks like a very happy, smiling guy is really into BDSM. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like everyone's got like things that they just like for unaccounted reasons. And I'm always sort of drawn to dark or scary or sexy or whatever. I don't know. That's kind of the best answer I have.
Yeah.
So what can we expect from this new album? Because you guys are on a roll. It seems like you never stop releasing. And I also, there's a rumor coming out that you were actually doing a collab with Britney Spears. Is this true?
That was good. No, that's not true. I wish. I'm a big fan of hers. My dad's a big fan of hers. He saw her in Vegas, and he's like a 70-year-old man, and he's obsessed with Britney Spears. So my family loves her. Free Britney. But no, I wish I was. I do have some other interesting stuff though that I haven't talked about in press yet, and I'll let you guys know it first. So one of them is, besides the next album being done and the single coming out, it's 16-track album, which is kind of crazy. I just put out a different album 2-3 months ago. Besides that, I'm also composing the music for a movie, which we think is going to be distributed by A24. There's a bunch of investors promotion.
You were like the A24. Like if I think about like what kind of movie you would score, it would be an A24 movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's this indie film. It's got a bunch of really great actors already lined up in it. So I'm scoring that. I'm also acting in it. I can't give specifics on it. It's not a major role. I'm kind of in the first 30 minutes, and my character's kind of a dickhead. I'll leave it at that. But so I'm doing that at the same time. I'm doing that at the same time as writing this, finishing this album and moving back to New York and all this stuff. So I'm hyper busy, and I don't know. I'm really excited for this next year. But I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
So you both in New York. I've been seeing all my friends post stuff. Demi too. I've been seeing her. She's like on a rooftop. There's parties, there's events all the time and stuff. LA is still kind of dead, and everyone's like to me, "Hey, Bill, LA's opened up now. Isn't it so much better?" And I'm like, "No, there's
it's still LA. It's
still LA. Like there's nothing going on." So like my question, I guess, is New York still? I visited a couple months ago, and everyone was outside drinking on the street. Does it still feel kind of like New Orleans, sort of, or is it calming down, or what?
It's still pretty wild. I mean, Demi can answer this better than me because Demi is a part of the cool kid underground rock show scene that Bill you came out of. So she can. Demi, you want to take this one?
Okay, it's very much lit. We're gonna go crazy. But yeah, no, it really is. It's something's happening right now where it almost during coronavirus it kind of looked like the 80s, right? People were bugging out. The streets looked like the 80s, and I think now we're going into the 90s at the end of coronavirus where there's scenes.
They're going to re-elect Giuliani as mayor again.
It's going to be psychotic.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, there are scenes happening and forming that weren't present before coronavirus, and people have this different air to them. They want to just have a good time, and they're not concerned about, I mean, we just went through a pandemic, so there's a different air.
I will say, I feel like the pretenders, if you will, were kind of swept out of New York.
Yeah.
A lot of those, I guess I was one of these, but like those, 24-year-old kids who their parents moved them into the apartment in Bushwick with their friends, and they want to be an artist of some kind, but like those kinds of kids are kind of left. Like the ones that stayed behind are the people that are here for ones. Like,
except for you.
No, but the people. But
we had this before the pandemic, okay? So no blame there. This was all set up.
Yeah. And you left for business purposes, so we can't blame you there.
Definitely.
It's not like you were. Like Bill was like, well, he said, you know what? I really want to surf right now.
Yeah, no.
In Malibu, and so I'm just going to move to the West Coast.
Exactly. Yeah, my grandma spent the whole pandemic not wearing a mask. Like basically, because she's 90 years old, she's just walking around Manhattan like this. Like it's bullshit. Like she's fine. She's still my whole family's there. So I think that's the same thing. That it feels like my sister who lives in Brooklyn. Said the same thing. Everyone's just kind of like all the people she didn't want to talk to anywhere gone. So I'm excited
absolutely.
Back. Yeah.
The music venues around here in Brooklyn and New York, some of them have closed down, but the ones that haven't closed down are starting to revitalize and come up with new band showcases and regular gigs, and the calendars are starting to fill up again, I guess you could say.
Wow.
But Bill, you're coming back to New York. But is there anything from LA that you'll miss besides the weather?
I guess I do. I'll miss the ocean. I genuinely will miss just being able to go to the ocean super easily. It's obviously, as you guys know, it's super different in New York. You either have to go out onto Long Island or down on the Jersey Shore, but that's not really it's not really the same thing. So that is probably kind of the only thing that I'll miss from this area. It's the ocean.
I had some of your fans write into me last night. Just want to give them, we want to appreciate them.
Okay.
So from Alexandra, she wants to know when you'll be coming to either Italy or Spain.
Okay, so we might be coming to Spain in March of 2022. So, 9 months from now. So I think so. We have it planned out. That's the closest I can give her an answer to. Barcelona and Madrid would be the 2 cities that we'd stop in. So.
Okay, sick. From Carmen, she wrote something pretty lengthy, but I cut it down to, what was your inspiration behind your single Fire? And she says, thank you for helping her get through a breakup last year with your 2 songs, Time Fades Away and Fucked Up. So
Thank
Fire,
you,
what was inspiration?
Yeah, thank you, Carmen. For Fire, I wanted like in sort of like an 80s song. I kind of interjected that like sort of Police riff into it, and I just wanted something that was like soaring with high vocals. I actually initially approached that song with like not a falsetto, with just like a low voice, but Huff was like, I think it would sound a lot better if you just did a falsetto throughout sort of this whole
way.
Yeah, so I just kind of carried it like that, and I guess that was the inspiration. I think that seems to be one of the most natural picked up songs. I mean, it's got, overall already like 15 or 20 million streams across all platforms. So that one's doing really well with basically like 0 promotion. So I don't know. I wanted like a good major key kind of vibey song. So that's how that kind of popped out.
There you go. And I had to pick one more. Rachel says, ask him about the movie he's working on with 10 exclamation points, but you did already, just tell us.
We appreciate, yeah. Thanks for giving us a little bit of tea on that movie, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, I can give her a little more information. So the score, I'm still working on. I'm about 8 songs into it. It's sort of like kind of a classical score, but also sort of like Euphoria, Labyrinth sounding, like some of the songs are very electronic. And then in terms of my character in the score, I am the main character's boyfriend, and she catches me cheating on her in sort of the beginning. And then my character's kind of a dickhead for the first 20, 30 minutes, and then I sort of disappear. So that's kind of like a fun cameo for me. So yeah.
No.
I get killed in the first 30 minutes. It's actually unclear. I don't have a good answer for that. Right now they have the guy who wrote 13 Reasons Why on Netflix. He's re-editing the script and everything. So I'm not sure, but it is sort of unclear because something does happen. But.
Did you get killed?
Bill, last night we put up a tweet to promote the show featuring we get the tweet up there, featuring this adorable puppy. So our question is, do we get a puppy cameo?
She was literally right in her bed 2 seconds ago, and Huff just took her to Starbucks. So no, he's gone.
Okay. Well, thanks for the effort.
Right,
so no puppy cameo today.
That's her little bed. So
that's the bed. That's the bed. That's all we get is the bed.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Bill, you mentioned that you talked about Fire and how you sang in falsetto in that song. We talked a lot about your guitar work, and last time we talked about how you're getting both the pop music press and then the guitar nerd press as well. Yeah. Vocally, how do you feel like you've changed or evolved or improved since, say, the Go Fuck Yourself days?
Oh, well, tons. I mean, I basically, I had sung before, but I never looked at myself as a singer. I was more of a producer, guitarist. I would do backup vocals for bands I was in or fill in sometimes. But I really figured out how to, over the past, 4, 5 years, just from touring, and you have to sing, an hour and a half every day, weeks in a row, and rehearsalness and writing songs and stuff. I definitely really branched out. I'm able to do just tremendous amount more stuff with my voice than I could when I wrote Go Fuck Yourself or the first EP or anything like that. Really.
I mean, I remember when I would go into a random party in Bushwick, in a warehouse, Brooklyn, and I would just bump into Bill, and he'd just be wailing on the guitar over some random person's DJ set.
Yes.
This was maybe only a few years ago.
Yeah.
And now you are touring the world, opening up for some of the biggest bands ever. I mean, how does that feel, and how excited are you to go on a headline tour and just get at it again?
Super excited. And yeah, Demi, you were definitely you're one of the first people I ever met, as I started entering more into the New York scene and everything like that. You've known me for 5 years. It's kind of crazy, right? That now do the interview now, and you're doing great. Just wild how that worked out. But I'm so excited. I never imagined, that we play, open in Barclays Center and do arena tours. And, I just announced my own headline tour, one stop in New York. They actually wanted to play Terminal 5 because it's bigger. It's like 3,500. But I adamantly requested, I was like, no, we have to do Webster Hall. So we got that Webster Hall date, which is great just because it's favorite venue ever. I've been going there since before I legally was allowed to even. That tour is selling super well. We did like 1,500 tickets in Montreal in like 5 minutes. I mean, it's kind of just crazy. So I'm so excited for the headline tour and keep moving and chatting with you guys whenever I can along the way.
outside of the States, what area of the world do you feel like you have the biggest fan base, the most intense fan base?
Your favorite fan base?
My favorite fan base. Well, those are
two different things.
Yeah, I can't get into that. I don't want to get into any favorite because.
But where have you noticed like there's like this rabid 2 feet that maybe you didn't expect or something?
Yeah. So Mexico, we can sell out about 14,000 tickets. I mean, we have promoters there asking us to do basically arenas. That's where my largest out of the U.S. Fan base is. When we played a festival in Mexico, the estimate was that we were going to have about 8,000 to 9,000 people at our set. We ended up having about 42,000 people at the set, captured by drone footage and all this stuff. I mean, it was absolutely wild. They were all singing the words. So Mexico's one. And then the other one is Eastern Europe. I've actually had, I feel like I'm drowning as platinum in Russia and Poland and Ukraine. And so it's Go Fuck Yourself. And I've lots of radio success there, tons of streaming success. We get festival offers for, 6-figure sums to go play out in Moscow and places in Poland and Eastern Europe. So it's sort of Eastern Europe and Mexico and Brazil, to a lesser extent, but also Brazil are definitely my largest fan bases, even larger than the US actually. So it's kind of crazy.
Are you doing festivals this summer at all?
Not this summer because of radius clauses, basically, and also first dibs. So we were going to have a tour season last summer, obviously. So we didn't have any festivals booked. So all these other artists who had these festivals booked that got canceled then have first dibs on some of the reopened festivals this summer. Also, we're playing, like I said, a bunch of cities in the fall. So there's radius clauses. So you can't play like a festival and then play a venue or close in the same time period because they're afraid, people won't come to your show because they saw you at the festival or whatever. So not this summer. No, we don't have too much festival wise, but next summer we have, based on some of the offers coming in. Yeah. I think we might end up playing like 40 or 50 festivals. So
that's so crazy.
Because I just pictured like how badass you would be at Glastonbury.
We are actually talking about Glastonbury. I did Reading and Leeds already. So it'd be sick to play that one. I've never done that one. And we got a bunch of offers for Eastern Europe, Moscow, Russia, St. Petersburg, all over, and a ton in the US. So hopefully we get to do as many as possible. I'm really excited about that.
There you go. I remember I don't know how this happened, but I saw you guys after a show in Paris, and I wish I had seen the show, but my question is, what kind of band are you guys on tour? Because when I saw you guys are super chill. I think we went to like a halal spot, like a little halal spot after. But I don't know,
Demi,
maybe that was a low-key day for you guys. What do you guys really like? What's the juice?
Well, okay. So Demi, the day we saw you in Paris, we had played a show in London, right? And it ended at like 11 or 12 at night. And then we had to fly from London to Paris because we had a show the very next day in Paris. So we didn't sleep. We stayed up, drove in a taxi from like 2 a.m. till like 4 a.m. to get to like Heathrow. Waited in the airport, finally got on the plane, flew into Paris. So we actually, when we had seen you and were hanging out with you, we had not slept in like almost 48 hours. So like, to me,
insane.
Yeah, I remember seeing you and I was just like, oh, I'm so fucking dead. I don't even know how to have a conversation right now. Yeah, so that was that. But honestly, yeah, I mean, we're not like, some nights definitely everyone goes a little crazy. I don't know how much I can get into, but yes, some people go crazy. One time, we had to save one of our crewmates from like a prostitute who had stolen his shoes and phone and stuff. And I just like found him running around without a shirt on, being like, dude, I really need your help right now. I'm like, what the hell happened?
That's not in the travel guides. Watch out for French prostitutes. They'll take your clothes.
Exactly. Yeah. So then we had to like go and get an ATM and give it back to like her, and she gave him his shoes and his shirt back. But so there was crazy stuff that happens. On, you know, normally you play a show, you're super tired, you're traveling. Yeah. You're just like, I don't even care what we do. Let's just go get halal food. Oh, hi, Demi. We love you. Hey, you know, I'm sorry we can't talk that well right now. Like, we're tired. So it goes back and forth, boring to crazy, like weird. I don't know.
What about theatrics and the stage show? When you are planning these shows, what have you thought about in terms of like the AV, especially because the Max Mako, I know you that's one album and you've got other stuff to work with, but since you are so cinematic and you have such a strong aesthetic, what can people expect when they see you at these big tours in terms of the video and the lights and everything?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So for this next tour, I put like $150,000, $200,000 of my own money into the promotion production, in order to make it as crazy as possible. You know, we're gonna
because you're not on a label anymore, right?
Yeah, so, exactly. So we're gonna have dancers, huge video walls. You know, I hired
dancers.
Dancers,
pole dancers.
Yeah. Dancers, yeah, pole dancers.
Well, I was picturing the video for you. You had like the stage and the dancers and stuff. Like
yeah. There was voguing and stuff like that. Yeah, we have that too. You know, this amazing choreographer, Dani Vitali. She did like Katy Perry's videos and stuff like that. I've worked with her. She actually did the video you're talking about. She's super fantastic. So hopefully we're planning on getting her to do some of the choreography for the live shows. But this coming up live shows are going to be the biggest productions I've ever had, in terms of, you know, like I said, the dancers, the video walls. You know, we hired a proper director to help get some of the images properly, and lighting, and hired the proper technicians for lasers and on some of the pyrotechnics. Thank you. Hope, right? Yeah. Yes, pyrotechnics on some of the larger shows. Yeah. If you've seen my show before, this show is very different. We incorporated a live drummer now too. He's amazing. So just kind of expect like a, you know, up to 200% sort of theatrics from earlier. You know, in the beginning, I would just get really drunk on stage and like follow the crowd and like be super interactive. That's when we had like no money to make the show like a little more interesting. But now we do. So I reinvest in the stage show. You know, I basically never make money on tour unless we do one-off festivals or, you know, the Panic tour or something like that, when lots of the costs are covered. But this one, you know, I lose money on all these tours just because I want them to look crazy. So I'm doing the same thing for this one too.
It's for the fans.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
For the fans. I think it's interesting, Bill, you mentioned, you know, you don't make money on these tours. So at this point, like licensing and streaming and things like that, the non-performance stuff, that's kind of your bread and butter?
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah. I don't even know what percentage. It's basically the whole thing. I mean, I make a little money from touring here and there, obviously not this past year, but yeah, that's like 90 to 100% of my profits. You know, I own all my records, so they have, you know, billions of streams. So that just goes right, like, you know, I don't want to get into exact numbers.
No.
How are you enjoying being independent right now? Because I know that was a major thing for you. We spoke about it last time, and you are one of those very few people that can actually do that successfully. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much better. I don't like, if you want to be lazy and just let everyone else take everything, and they take 90% of your profits from your songs and everything else, you're always in debt. Just because all you want to do is like kind of write the music and be funny on social media, then fine. But if you really, you know, you're an artist and you look at your music as your art, right? But then you also have to be sort of a business person and look at, you know, your career as your small business and how to grow it and how to have control. This is the way to have control, is to be independent. You own your records. You know, you can do whatever you want. You can put the music out whenever you want. you can engage with people who you need. You end up making these connections for yourself rather than relying on, if you work with a major, you're like, I want to work with this artist, and they're like, okay, we'll reach out to them for you. Then they make all the connections. If you want to work with an artist now, you reach out to them yourself, and then you start working with them, and then you make that connection, you make further connections. I mean, it's really the best way to have a long career, have control of your career, have control of your life, your art, everything. I mean, I tell everybody who I know who's an artist, any like younger musicians I know who are starting to pop off, I always tell them to try to be independent, sign with a distributor rather than a label. It'll save your life. It'll make, like I'm buying a brownstone in Brooklyn, right? If I wasn't independent, there's no way on earth I would be able to do that. It's because I have control over all of these aspects. I have control over my creative existence that I'm able to do anything right now. And I absolutely love being independent.
Now, it's easy for you. What would you say to someone who's listened to that and says, well, that's easy for you to say. You have all these dozens of songs that have all these millions of streams. So you have all this money coming in. You have songs that are licensed to all these TV shows and commercials and movies and stuff. But what about the person who maybe got kicked off of a small indie label, and they're looking for another label? What do you say to them?
Yeah.
Well, the situation is different for every person. Like what I say to them is I totally understand it, right? Because I signed with a major label initially because I was a really poor kid. And not that I came from a poor family or anything. I came from a lower middle class family. When I was young, my dad was a taxi driver, but then he started getting jobs in advertising and stuff like that. And we moved to, out of the city and everything. But, I had no money. I didn't have a college education. I was living in Harlem and I was just making music. And, I was living on a can of tuna, whatever cash I could save. I'd pick up quarters on the ground if I found them because I genuinely needed them. So when I started having music that took off and labels reached out and they're like, here, we'll give you $200,000 for the rights to your music and for you to do an album or 2 or 3 for us. We'll give you a forward each album. I immediately signed, right? Because I totally understand. You need money. You have no money. You have no hit songs. You have no revenue. What I say to those people is this, that even though I totally understand signing with labels at that point in time and, the incentive to do so, I would still be better off now if I had not done that, if I had just waited. If you really have true belief in your craft and you really have true belief in, the money you have, not the money, oh my God, in the music you're making and the creativity and everything you're doing, and you get to the point where labels are actually offering you money, right? If you get to that point where people are offering you money or they're offering to sign you to their label, that means they also see that you have potential, that you have future, that you'll make something of yourself, that you're a real artist, that there's really, a tangible thing behind you. And if that's the case, then why would you sign with them nowadays? It's not the old days where you need them to put stuff on a CD or a vinyl and ship it out. You can put it online on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and not iTunes anymore, actually, but Amazon, whatever you want, Deezer, Tidal, YouTube. By yourself, you don't need them. And if these people see this and they're offering you things, it means that they see a good investment. And so you should just invest in yourself. If that means having to be hungry for a little bit longer, so be it. Because at the end of the day, it'll be a better decision. And I firmly do. I just don't believe that people who genuinely make music every day, that's their passion, that's their goal. They never stop creating. I think the only people who doesn't work out for are the ones who just either stop or they just, they can't do it anymore. If you just keep going and keep going and keep going, something will happen. And to give that away to, a major industry right off in the beginning, just because it's like an easier, quicker way, I think is just an enormous mistake. And I know because I made that mistake too. So
if we had an audience right now, which we will in about a year, 2, 3 years, they'd all be screaming. How are you able to get out of your contract, just like to close that up? Really good ones.
Yeah, well, I can't necessarily talk about how I had a very long conversation with the people at Republic. Had a lot of success with them. They didn't want me to leave. The drowning still makes them a bunch of money. The deal we had was totally abusive and screwed up. I mean, the amount of money I was making from it was super small. Basically, I think a lot of it was luck. pandemic had just happened. There's a bunch of social disputes. George, this was around the time that it was actually a little bit before, but the pandemic had just started. The country was all over the place. People knew that artist tours were canceled. They kind of know that I have a big mouth on Twitter. And I just I was like, hey, I'd really like if you let me out of this now. And, it went back and forth for a while with lawyers talked. It wasn't easy. It took a couple of months, but that's how I got out of it. I mean,
don't mess with 2 Feet. He will shout you out on Twitter right now.
Exactly. Basically, yes. If you want to deal with this, fine, you can deal with it, but you should just let me out. I think it'd be easier for everybody involved. That's kind of what happened. So
we have the audience clapping.
There's our audience
Shout out
clap.
Rachel.
Right. Thank you, Rachel. We got to wrap this up pretty quickly, Bill. But before we do, we'll end it with something fun. We have this little quick answer game that we have that Demi started. So let's do that right now.
Okay, Bill, because you are coming back to New York City, and in honor of you coming back, we're going to play a little game called Which of These Two New York Things Do You Love More?
Perfect.
Okay, bacon, egg, and cheese, or bagel with lox?
Bacon, egg, and cheese.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Brooklyn or Manhattan? Come on.
Brooklyn.
Oh, wow. Okay. Getting a seat on the subway or yellow taxis?
Getting a seat on the subway, 100%.
Right? You just get there faster.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is funny because you said Webster Hall earlier. Sweaty basement shows or Webster Hall?
Oh, man.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know. That's such a tough question.
2 different things.
Yeah, they're so different. I don't know. I guess for now, I'll say just because that's where I came from, sweaty basement shows for now.
There you go. Okay, the crazy guy you see every day on the corner or your favorite cashier at the bodega?
The bodega cashier. Those are like my best friend.
There you go. Okay, Central Park or Prospect Park?
I like Central Park more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Dunkin' or Starbucks?
Dunkin'.
Okay. Duncan, if you're listening right now, okay, 2 Feet gets free Duncan. The Ramones or Sonic Youth? Like, if you just had to pick one to listen to and one to cancel right now.
Definitely the Ramones.
Wow, traitor.
That was like a loaded question because Sonic Youth is like Demi's favorite band.
Yeah. All good. It's all good. All right, you did it. You won, Bill. You won a trip to New York City.
So for real, Bill, can you give us any dates on your U.S. tour, start to finish, for anyone's watching?
Yeah. Okay. So some of that. LA is November 10th or something. I don't know. Let's start in early November, end in early December. So I'll give you a couple of shows. We're playing LA, San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, Montreal, New York, Austin, and then a couple. I forget the other ones, but those.
Everyone passes over my hometown of Kansas City. I'm from Kansas City. Everyone passes over Kansas City. We just had Matt Pryor on from the Get Up Kids, and I forgot to ask him about that, but everyone passed over Kansas City. So maybe someday Kansas City will be cool enough.
Kansas City twice. We've played Kansas City. I was honestly there. There's a really good crowd. There's always a good crowd in Kansas City and Arkansas too, and whatever.
There's an alt rock station in Kansas City called 96.5 that. It's a corporate station, but they kind of have some independence, and they've kind of been a tastemaker in the Midwest for a while. Yeah, so it's kind of an underrated area. Anyway, that's my little Kansas City bit. Yeah. All right, Bill. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We're really happy that you're coming back to New York, and you seem everything's going really well for you. And really excited for this movie. I didn't even know about it, and now I'm like the score and like it just seems perfect. So
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. I'm happy to come back and be back on the show soon in a couple months. Maybe we'll see.
You can come in person. We have a studio now.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Next one will be in person.
Let's go crazy.
Together. So
yeah. All right, Bill. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye guys. Bye Demi. Bye Jordan.
Bye.
All right. That was 2 Feet. Bill Dess.
2 Feet.
How cool was that to have Bill on again? And now we're in a studio with. It's kind of echoey. We'll have it'll improve over. You'll get to see the studio evolve over the shows, so that'll be fun.
DeGeneres, we're coming for your studio. Shout out.
Yeah, she's leaving, so we can just move right in.
What's up?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. So actually not next week, on Thursday, in a couple days, we have Chris Gethard. Really excited to reschedule that show. So it'll be just me. So Demi has a prior commitment. So sorry about that. But really looking forward to Chris and to get to talk some comedy. So until Thursday, you can check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, etc. And of course, go on YouTube and Facebook for all videos from past Jordan and Demi shows. So we will see you Thursday.
We love you.